Welcome to the New Creation Fellowship Church worship for November 14, 2021. At New Creation, we seek to celebrate our differences as gifts and blessings. Our differences in color, gender, sexual orientation, and the many other ways that we are categorized by the world. You are welcome in our worship as we journey together, discerning how to follow Jesus more faithfully. For our teaching time this morning, Gordon Hauser is interviewing Aaron Ratzleff from our congregation. We all know and experience God in part, and I am looking forward to Aaron sharing part of his journey and know that my own understanding of who God is will grow because of it. The plan is to do this with many more people here at New Creation. So thank you, Aaron, for being willing to go first. Each week we light our peace lamp as a way of bringing our own attention to God's peace. We celebrate the ways in which God's peace is being lived out, and we lament when we witness an absence of God's peace. May the light of Christ shine, changing lives, changing hearts, and changing minds. May we all live our lives in such a way to increase God's peace. Let us take a moment to center our hearts and our thoughts as we listen to our meditative music this morning. For our call to worship this morning, I invite you to join me in prayer. Source of all hope and holiness, we gather today to be church. Bless those who are absent, but not from our hearts. Bless those who are distant, but not from our love. Bless each of us here in the sanctuary and those worshiping elsewhere, that we may choose justice by your Spirit, draw kindness from the well of your mercy, and walk humbly in your path, O God. Amen.
Romans 12:3-13. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought to, but rather think of yourself with somber judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we thought maybe form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality.
Hi friends, I'm going to read Quills by Aaron J. Ratzleff. Aaron is someone that goes to church with us. You might see him with Audrey and Nadia. The first page it says, "To Audrey." So Aaron wrote this book and he also drew the pictures. Porcupine was happy. On every Sunday night, her friends would listen to her tales around a campfire bright. And when her friends grew tired and stumbled home to sleep, she sat and brushed her shiny quills before she counted sheep. On Monday, when she woke, she felt a bit confused, for 10 loose quills lay on her bed. "I brushed too hard," she mused. Her friend Giraffe came by and bent down to the floor. "Is that a balding spot?" he asked. "That wasn't there before." On Tuesday, 10 more quills were floating in her bath. "I've lost a score in just 2 days. I do not like this math." Spring Hare slurped her coffee. "You're nervous, I can see." "Stop worrying, and they'll grow back like needles on a tree." On Wednesday afternoon, Baboon begged her to sit. "I'll style your quills and hide the spot, but this I must admit. I primp, I preen, I pick, and have for many moons, but barely work with porcupines. My clients are baboons." Hyena saw her style and laughed himself to tears. To make things worse, another spot had sprung between her ears. On Thursday, she grew scared. "I may be deathly ill. There must be something I can take. A potion or a pill? I need an answer now. Old Goat will know for sure why all my quills are falling out." But Old Goat groaned, "No cure." The journey home was tough, 'cause everybody stared. She secretly wished all of them were visually impaired. She hastened to reach home. She dreaded others' thoughts. Around her neck she tied some leaves and tried to hide the spots. Friday found her fuming. She snarled in disgust. "If they went out, I'll pluck them all and leave them in the dust." "What lousy luck," she frowned. "This really is unfair. A porcupine without her quills is like a hairless hare." She was severely sad when Saturday came round. Her tears rolled out, and with her quills fell softly on the ground. "I'll live my days inside behind the window sill. Who cares to love a porcupine that carries not one quill?" On Sunday came a knock. Giraffe was at her door. I brought a gift, he said to her. She wiped her tears, her eyes. What for? So you can always know that I will be your friend. Yes, whether all your quills grow back or never you ever mend. Your gift is made of quills, your quills the very same. I found them and picked them up and fit them in this frame. Porcupine is happy. Tonight's her favorite night. Giraffe, baboon, and spring hare sit round the campfire bright. They'll listen to her tales, forget about her quills, and always call her Porcupine, for true friends don't need frills. And then on this back page, it has a picture of Aaron and another one of his drawings. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Well, welcome to New Creation Fellowship Church sermon. We're starting a series. About every quarter we want to interview someone from our church and learn about their faith journey and their life. Today, Aaron Ratzleff is with us, so I'm going to ask him some questions and we'll see how it goes. So maybe start describing your faith journey, family background, whatever you can say about that.
Okay. Well, I grew up at Gossel.
Kansas.
Gossel, Kansas, yes. I think there's only one.
Probably so.
To a family of 6.
Oh, wow.
And I was the second. There were 3 boys and a girl, and we were all very close. And my extended family was pretty large, and everyone lived at Gossel. So most of my childhood was spent with aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and daily playing with cousins during the summer, and so it was very close, very safe childhood, and my home church was Alexanderville, and so
Mennonite church.
100% Russian Mennonite.
Yeah, right,
yes.
yeah, sure. Big church.
Right, it's a big church, and so my faith journey started there, and really some of the biggest influences were my parents and my grandparents. They taught me how to pray, what to pray, and so my prayers were kind of their prayers throughout my childhood, and of course Sunday school and youth group growing up.
So how old were you when you were baptized? They did that as soon.
Yeah, I was 17.
Oh, okay, in high school.
High school, so at Alexanderville, the 2 classes, the juniors and seniors, were baptized together. So I think I was in a catechism class of 10, and so on the day of our baptism, we were all lined up and sprinkled one at a time.
Okay.
And so I understood that at the time as a show of my faith, and that I was ready to accept Jesus and join the church.
Mm-hmm.
But also I was always expecting to have this kind of gateway experience.
More dramatic.
More
kind of
dramatic,
conversion or,
clouds opening up,
Yeah, right.
epiphany, a dove coming down. And so, in the back of my mind, I was kind of disappointed that didn't
Sure.
happen because,
Sure.
yeah. So,
Which shows that everybody's journey is different.
right.
Not everybody has that.
Right. Yeah. So, I felt like, I was always surrounded by God
Mm-hmm.
from a very early age, and my family was also, and so I never had this feeling like I needed to have Jesus in my life because he was, already there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in college, my first year of college, I moved. It was kind of the first time I moved away from the Mennonite setting, and I went to Bethany College in Lindsborg.
Okay.
So, I was, it's not too far, but it's for someone growing up in Gospel,
Yeah,
it was
right.
far enough.
Right. Sure.
And it's a Lutheran college, and
Mhm.
so that in itself was kind of a big
Stepping out of your comfort zone.
stepping out of my comfort zone the first year, and I had trouble making friends the first year, and kind of for the first time lost sight of God, or felt like God lost sight of me and didn't know
Okay.
where I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And went through some depression, and it was just a really kind of the first low point of my spiritual
Sure.
life
Yeah.
experience. I remember as a freshman, kind of at one of my lowest points, alone in my dorm room,
Mm-hmm.
finally having this realization that I needed to pick up the Bible. And
Okay.
and prior to that, I was used to reading the Bible for class or whatever,
Mhm.
and had never really just picked it up in a time of trouble.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a turning point, and that was kind of my turning to God point, I guess.
So that helped.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second year of college, I met Audrey
Oh, okay.
and started hanging around with her friends, and she was baptized as an adult at Bethany.
Oh, okay.
So she, her background, her family did not go to church. They were Christian, but her childhood was different than mine, and I always wondered at her, and was always almost a little, I don't know if you'd say jealous of her.
Oh, okay.
Her
Because
faith
she had more of
story.
a dramatic.
It was
conversion.
more. It was. She had to do work
Okay.
to get there,
Right. Yeah.
and which is something I felt like I hadn't experienced,
Yeah.
and I always heard of people having dramatic experiences. So,
Although, would you describe when you were kind of depressed and everything, and then turning to the Bible, was that more of a
yeah, that was
conversion? Yeah.
That
okay.
was. Mm-hmm.
And were you in the same year in school, or was she?
Yeah, we were in the same
Okay.
class.
Same age. Yeah.
Yeah. So then my experience at college kind of turned around. She started asking me to go to chapel with her. So, and then I started experiencing some more of the liturgical worship of
Mhm.
the Lutherans, and that became meaningful
Okay.
to me, and yeah, so kind of the I guess I'd say spiritual high point of my life was I'm moving to seminary in Elkhart,
Oh, okay.
where Audrey went to.
Was that right after you graduated from college? Or?
That was not right after we graduated. We spent a couple years in Topeka doing work, making money.
Right, yeah.
and
paying off school.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Audrey, I remember coming home from work one day and Audrey saying she thinks she needs to go to seminary. She thinks she is being called to seminary, and it was really kind of out of the blue.
Oh, okay.
and so we did, and it was.
Then your response was, "Why not?"
Sure. I'm sure it was probably. It took me a few days.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But life at the seminary, I wasn't taking classes or anything. But we were living on campus, and so experiencing that community of faith and intense biblical study, being surrounded by these people that were just living the Bible every day.
Okay, yeah, right.
And wrestling with it was amazing. Yeah, so I can really appreciate that time.
Yeah, so you were there how long?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah.
And she got an MDiv?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Master of Divinity.
She got her Master of Divinity, and her first church was in Iowa.
Okay.
And so we moved there, which was a whole another experience. She was pastor of a yoked Mennonite and Presbyterian
Oh, okay.
church. So
That's pretty unique.
it is. It was. She was there when the churches had to. The Presbyterian church decided to close.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a lot of difficulty in that transition.
I imagine, yeah. So, be a lot to oversee.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So you were there how long?
3.5
Okay.
years. And then we left and came back to Kansas. And pretty quickly found New Creation.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we were living in Hillsboro, so I was working at the Tabor College Library at that point. So we had been going to another Mennonite church and not feeling that we were fitting in really, and so we.
How'd you hear about New Creation?
Susan Jansen.
Oh yeah, sure. Former member here.
Yeah. She suggested that we might fit in here. And
Okay, yeah.
I think we do.
Yeah, I think you do too. Very well, yeah. Cool. So what would be something about your experience growing up that would surprise people to know about you?
Okay. This the one I thought of is really kind of silly, but I don't think anyone knows that I have a gold medal in livestock judging.
Whoa! Gold medal. All right.
Yeah, of course, high school FFA.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I feel like I don't really know what it says about me that, I worked my butt off in high school to get third chair in the state, third chair trumpet in the state KMA band.
Wow, that's pretty
But
impressive
I
too.
fumbled through this FFA livestock competition and got the gold
Got a
medal.
gold medal.
So, did I miss a calling somehow?
There you go. Have you ever thought of playing trumpet for the livestock?
Yeah. No, there's already someone at Peabody that does that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So over these years, would you say how has your view of God developed through the years?
I feel God's presence strongest in nature.
Okay.
And I feel like I've kind of come full circle recently because growing up, I was an outside kid.
Okay.
I mostly like to spend my time outdoors in nature.
Sure.
So I always felt, if I didn't know it, I mean, looking back, surrounded kind of by God and safe being by myself in nature. So yeah, growing up then, I was taught, that God was in me,
Okay.
and that was a little bit harder for me to grasp, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then later on at seminary, and especially in this congregation, realizing God is more in our interactions with each other and in community.
Okay.
But yeah, so I really believe that. But if I really want to, I feel like if I really want to experience God, I need to be in the wilderness, I guess.
Yeah. Communing with nature more.
Yeah. If I go outside, I might not even be thinking of, I want to go meet God.
Yeah.
I just, I'm needing a break. I go out and walk
Yeah.
in the trees or in a pasture or something.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm very aware, like I'm with God.
Okay.
The thought comes to me, and I'm like, okay,
So it's the experience more than just the thinking about it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. You're an illustrator, right?
I am.
Is that how you describe yourself? Your vocation or whatever?
Yes.
How'd you get into that?
It was drawing was a talent I had from an early age, and I never knew what I was going to do with that talent, and I didn't have a clear path.
Mm-hmm.
I never could see a future of using my drawing, so it was always more of a hobby.
Okay. Were you an art major in college or no?
I did become an art major. I went to Bethany on a music scholarship.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's another path. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Well, it got you a scholarship at least.
Right, it got me a scholarship. And while I was there at Bethany, I mentioned I was interested in art when I was visiting,
Yeah. Okay.
campus visit. And I was encouraged to check out the art building. And that was really the first time I felt like people are doing things with art, and it had never been exposed to that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up being a double music and art major my first year, which I think kind of contributed to my depression and loneliness that first year.
Taking on too much.
I took on way too much, and
Yeah.
I was always working and didn't have any meaningful social life.
Yeah, sure.
So
That can happen.
yeah, so but even after college, I did not have a clear path.
You worked at other jobs.
Yeah,
Like many.
I could eat. There were kind of two paths I could take at Bethany. I could either be in an elementary ed path to
Mhm.
teach art,
Teach art, yeah.
or I could be a studio artist, which was that prospect was pretty grim at that moment.
Especially if you want to make money, right?
Yeah, showing my art in galleries wasn't
Yeah, right, yeah, sure.
something I felt that I could do. So
Mm.
so yeah, I had other jobs, mainly library jobs in Topeka and at the seminary, and then here at Tabor.
Okay.
And it was at Topeka I worked on the bookmobile actually,
Oh, really?
which was a cool job.
Oh, I bet, yeah, that'd be fun.
Driving busloads of books around and
And people could check them out from where they,
yeah,
from the street or wherever they live, yeah.
the bookmobiles were actually converted Bluebird buses, like city buses. So I
Oh,
didn't need a CDL, but I was driving these big buses, and they were full of shelves of books that we had to bungee in, and then we'd pull up to one of the dozens of stops around Topeka, and we'd plug in the electricity, and we'd plug in the internet, and so it was just library on wheels basically. So
okay.
patrons come onto the bus and check out
Check out books,
and
yeah.
we're wired into the.
Then do you come around later and they check them back in, or how does that work? Or they return them to the
They
main
can
library?
return them in any book drop.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah.
So I was around a lot of children's books, and that's kind of where
Okay.
I was always looking at children's books, and I realized, this would be a cool way to
Yeah.
use my art. Like, I can understand children's books. I can't understand showing my art in a gallery. So
Yeah.
I could do this. So that's I got connected with a man who was a teacher in the Topeka School District
Okay.
who was looking for an illustrator.
Oh,
He was always writing stories for his kids. And he was encouraged, you need to find an illustrator and
and then publish.
publish these. So I got connected with him, and I still have a professional relationship with him, doing
you-
illustrations for his books. So,
So you publish the books?
yeah,
with him.
I've done 3 with him so
Okay.
far, and many more to come, hopefully.
Name the titles.
Our first one was called Fred and Mary,
Okay.
about a fellow who doesn't take care of himself hygienically, and people make fun of him, but he loves himself, and
Okay.
he's fine with himself, and then he meets a woman who is similarly in a similar state, and she's really confident about herself, so they meet, and they get married, they clean get each other cleaned up, and they're happy, and
Nice. Yeah.
so then there are a couple other books, and this author, he does a lot of professional development work with schools,
Okay.
and so the books I illustrate for him, he also creates curriculum to go with it.
Okay.
And so these books, they're available on Amazon, but he doesn't really have them directly available through bookstores and stuff like that.
Oh,
He
okay.
self-publishes, so
Okay, I see.
so I do a lot of the graphic design
Okay.
for the books too. So
And it's an ongoing things you're still doing stuff together? Or?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
He's doing all the traveling the country, doing workshops
Promoting them. Oh, I see, okay.
in schools, and,
Nice,
and
yeah.
I'm
You get to just do your
I
illustrations?
get to do the illustrations, so he likes
Cool.
doing that. He's even
That's sounds like a nice partnership.
yeah, it does. It is.
Oh, nice. Well, speaking of curriculum, you also do some work for Springs Forth?
Yes.
Yeah. What is Springs Forth?
Springs Forth is a nonprofit ministry that creates curriculum from a Anabaptist background.
Okay.
So it's in Newton,
Right.
Russell area. And I do the illustrations and graphic design for the curriculum.
Okay.
So it's Sunday school, preschool through adult,
Okay.
Or the curriculum could be used for midweek classes.
Yeah.
And there's also some VBS
Okay.
stuff. So yeah, Carol Dirksen was kind of the got this going, and she's very kindly let me do collaborations with her over the years too. So
Good.
she, my first, I guess, published work for a magazine was for With magazine.
Oh yeah, for a youth magazine.
Yeah.
Mennonite Youth, yeah.
Right. When I was in college, she asked if I could illustrate some stories, and so I did. And then she asked if I ever did any cartooning,
Oh.
and I said kind of. The only cartoons I'd done were for my family as inside jokes.
Oh, okay.
I was always doing that, trying to
Nice,
make
yeah.
my family laugh. So I said, I don't know if kids will get my humor, but I'll try. So I kind of became the cartoonist for
Really? Wow.
right after John McPherson. I don't think I didn't reach his heights.
He's
but-
now syndicated, right?
Right,
Or,
yeah.
Closer to home or something like that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
close to
yeah.
home, So,
Wow.
and so it's been good working with Carol
Yeah.
over these years.
Who is also from the Gospel area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I guess she got my humor.
Good. Well, if you kept doing it, it must have
Right.
worked. Yeah.
Until the magazine was
Yeah, it ended, so you don't
ended.
you haven't done cartooning since, or do you just?
I actually did. I've done a few things.
Okay.
And some of my children's books styles have grown out of my cartoon style. I've done a more recent book series for an author named Christine Gibson, and she writes Christine's Big Hair Adventures.
Oh wow.
And so the style of that book, I'd say was heavily influenced by my earlier cartoon work.
Nice.
But I'm not writing the jokes.
So she
comfortable.
sends you the words, the jokes, and then you illustrate.
Yeah, she sends me the
Okay.
manuscripts. and
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
have to illustrate it.
So if people want to see your work, Springs Forth or your books,
Mhm.
or where would they go online?
Yeah, the easiest way would be to go to my website,
Which is
aaronratzleff.com.
AaronRatzleff.com.
I try and keep
There you
that website up,
Okay.
pretty up to date.
Because
I'm not really good at marketing myself.
but there would be links to your different
There's
things
links
you've
too.
done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. Great. Well, as you look ahead, do you have goals for yourself?
I feel pretty comfortable that what I'm doing now is what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
I guess I always have my own ideas that I don't have time for,
Mm-hmm.
my ideas for books.
Oh yeah, sure.
Um,
Words included. Doing the story.
Yeah.
ideas, Yeah.
Yeah. I've had many ideas over the years, and just recently, thankfully, been too busy. I guess.
Good problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so wonderful to be doing something you love.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great gift. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. As you think about the church here, you see things, goals, or things you'd like to see the church be moving toward, or?
Generally, I think in the past 2 years, I'm just looking forward to the time when we are all back together.
Yeah. You're not alone there.
So, no, I know I'm not. I think modern technology has made it possible to stay connected. Is really hard for me to be connected.
Yeah.
I appreciate it that I can watch the service when we're in
And participate at times when you're playing trumpet.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And we were talking beforehand how many
takes you do?
how many takes I do with my trumpet.
Well, when it comes across, it looks like it's just one take. So.
Right. So maybe I'm saying too much, but
No, I think others would understand that. So.
yeah. So I do appreciate, being able to stay connected in that way. But it's the in-person connection is much more meaningful, and it's.
Yeah.
I do have even though I'm so much more of an introvert, I do need that.
Good to be with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need the potlucks and the singing and everything.
Sure.
So,
Well, we all look forward to that day.
yeah.
Yeah. Any other things you'd like to say, or before we close?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Aaron, for being willing to share of yourself this morning. This is indeed sacred ground that we walk together. Thank you to each of you for joining us for worship this week. I'm grateful that you took time to be a part of our worship. And I trust that this worship experience has helped you to see a bigger picture of who God is. And I pray that you have felt the fullness of God's love surround you. As you go from this worship into your week, may God bless you and keep you. May the very face of Jesus shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Holy Spirit embrace you and give you peace. Amen. Go in God's love.